The quiet cafe sat tucked away on a cobblestone street, its charm nestled in the interplay of sunlight filtering through ivy-clad walls. It was a place where time seemed to slow, where the hum of conversation and the clinking of cups formed a soothing symphony. Dinah, a waitress in her mid-20s, adjusted her apron as the familiar aroma of coffee and baked goods enveloped her senses. Her day, like many others, had begun early, marked by the rhythm of orders, smiles, and the occasional rush. But today, though she didn't know it yet, was going to be far from ordinary. The entrance bell chimed softly, its sound blending with the gentle murmur of the cafe. Dinah looked up, her gaze falling on a tall figure who had just stepped in. He seemed almost out of place against the cafe's quaint backdrop. Barron Trump, a name recognized by millions but a face most had only seen in fleeting media glimpses, stood there. His casual attire, a plain white shirt and dark slacks, spoke volumes of someone comfortable yet understated. The presence of two men at his side, their discreet vigilance marking them as security, made his identity unmistakable. Barron scanned the cafe, his eyes resting briefly on Dinah before he chose a corner table near the window. His demeanor carried a quiet intensity, a stark contrast to the celebrity aura she might have expected. Dinah hesitated for a moment, her pen hovering over the notepad. There was a nervous flutter in her chest, but professionalism overrode it. Taking a breath, she steadied herself and approached. Barron, taking a breath, she steadied herself and approached. Bertle, fucking Diot. Good afternoon, she said, offering a warm smile. What can I get you? Barron's voice was soft, almost hesitant. A cappuccino and one of those croissants? Coming right up, Dinah replied, scribbling down the order. As she turned away, a flicker of curiosity lingered. What was someone like him doing here? This wasn't a glamorous hotspot, just a humble cafe, tucked away from the bustle of the city. The next moments unfolded like any other. Dinah prepared his order, her hands moving almost mechanically. But her mind wandered. She stole glances at the enigmatic figure sitting quietly by the window. He seemed lost in thought, his fingers tracing patterns on the wooden table. Unlike most patrons, Barron wasn't glued to a phone or laptop. Instead, he gazed out the window, his expression unreadable. When she delivered the cappuccino and croissant, Barron thanked her with a sincerity that caught her off guard. His words were simple, but there was something in his tone, genuine, unassuming, that stayed with her. Dinah returned to her station, trying to shake off the strange sense of unease mixed with intrigue. Several minutes later, the door opened and Barron came through that. The cafe's usual rhythm resumed until Dinah noticed Barron jotting something down on the receipt. He paused, his pen hovering as if weighing his words, before tucking the paper beneath the empty cup. After finishing his meal, he stood, nodded politely, and exited, leaving the receipt untouched. The bell above the door chimed softly as he departed, the two security men following closely behind. Intrigued, Dinah approached the table to clear it. She picked up the receipt, her eyes scanning it out of habit. What she found made her breath hitch. At the bottom was a generous tip, far more than she earned in a week, and a handwritten note. Your hard work and kindness are noticed. Stay strong. Brighter days are ahead. Tears welled in Dinah's eyes as she reread the words. The gesture transcended the monetary value. It was the recognition, the validation she hadn't realized she needed. Life had been hard lately. Rent was overdue, and the weight of unpaid bills loomed heavy. For weeks, she had felt invisible, lost in the grind of long hours and little reward. But here, in ink and numbers, was a reminder that someone had seen her, truly seen her. She sat down at the empty table, her hands trembling as she clutched the note. The cafe blurred around her, the sounds fading into a distant hum. For a moment, all she could do was breathe, letting the emotions wash over her. Gratitude, disbelief, hope, all tangled together. As the initial shock subsided, Dinah's mind raced with questions. Why had Barron Trump, of all people, written those words? What had he seen in her that prompted such a gesture? She thought back to their brief interaction, replaying every detail. His calm demeanor, the way his eyes held hers just a second longer than necessary, it all seemed to take on new significance. Um, it all seemed to take on new significance. The cafe's door opened again, jolting Dinah from her thoughts. She quickly wiped her tears with the back of her hand and tucked the note into her apron pocket. Her manager, an older woman with a sharp eye and a kind heart, approached. "You okay?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. "What?" Dinah nodded, managing a shaky smile. "Yeah, just a really generous tip." Her manager raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "Generous enough to make you cry?" Wordlessly, Dinah handed over the receipt. The moment her manager saw the number, her eyes widened. "No way! Who left this?" "On her table," Dina replied softly. "That was Barron Trump." Her manager blinked, processing the information. "The Barron Trump, are you serious?" Dinah nodded again, pulling the note from her pocket. "It's not just the money," she said, handing it over. "Read this." Her manager's expression softened as she read the words. "Wow," she whispered, handing the note back. "That's some else." "It really is," Dinah agreed. Folding the note carefully, she tucked it back into her pocket, feeling its weight like a talisman. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of hope, a belief that things might get better. In the days that followed, the story of Barron Trump's visit spread, fueled by whispers and social media. Customers came in, curious to know more, and the cafe buzzed with new energy. But for Dinah, the moment wasn't about fame or wealth. It was a reminder of the quiet power of empathy and the connections that bind us, no matter how disparate our worlds may seem. She carried the note with her everywhere, a small piece of paper that held immense meaning. It reminded her that kindness mattered, that even in the darkest times, there were people willing to shine a light. And as she continued her work at the cafe, Dinah found herself greeting each customer with renewed warmth. The memory of that extraordinary encounter, a constant source of inspiration.
Please comment and subscribe to the channel if you want more magical stories like this.